Hello everyone, I'm Yuan Fang, and welcome to my show, Spain. This is my second solo exhibition with the gallery, and it's my first one in a few years in New York, where I work and live. Speaking of the title of the show, Spain, it comes a lot from my personal experience because I want my paintings to be confrontational. So although my paintings are my just abstract paintings, but they're deeply related to how I feel or like what I think while I was working on them. So in the middle of making this show, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. During the time of like learning all it means to me, that makes me think a lot about life and death and womanhood. And what it means for us to be a woman. Because the type of cancer I have, I might need to take out like my uterus and breast in the upcoming treatments. So I was thinking a lot about what if like I don't have periods and I cannot produce eggs, do I still count as a woman to the society? And if I like lost my hair, would people think of me as a girl? So in this body of work, I was trying to depict this mental stage of mine in the show. And this is why I call the show Spain. The title of the work is Accumulating, Breaking Through the Divine Line. And this is the work I made right after I got diagnosed with my cancer. I was trying to digest the whole information about what I was going through by painting it out. I was kind of trying to depict how the cancer in my body formed and spreading out. When I was making this work, I was going through a lot of like medical like exams and imaging. So I used one of my MRI image as the basic composition of the work, and then I start adding up layers, and that's how most of my work was made. The entire show is also my first one that I completely work with oil. So my last show and before that I was working with acrylic, but since last summer I was in a stage of my practice that I think oil can provide more possibilities. So that's why I kind of like start from scratch and learning how to paint with oil. So this work, Portrait of Woman, is inspired by one of Francis Bacon's painting. I believe the title is A Portrait of a Man with Glasses. I saw this work in his retrospective in the National Portrait Gallery in London last fall when I was visiting. And it's like not a very big, it's kind of like a little portrait work, but it struck me as I like the emptiness of the eyes of that figure in the work. I kind of borrowed that part into this work. Francis Bacon has always been one of my biggest hero because his works are especially very dark and includes like distorted human torso or like body or like faces. And so when I was studying or digesting the news of having cancer, I always look a lot of Francis Bacon. But especially during that time in my life, I was going through like a dark period mentally. So I feel the need of like making this work that has like a very dark background and a lot of this weird kind of eye-like feature in the middle or upper. Also, I kind of like love the backgrounds kind of showing this work. It had just have a lot of negative space, which represents kind of like the darkness of my mental stage. work is actually the first one I finished of the entire show. So I finished this one last summer. And this kind of like marks a transitional phase of me switching from acrylic to oil paint. When making this work, at first I was kind of like worried about the tone of the painting would be too brownish. But I realized that because the medium, the oil, I am able to like create like different layers of thickness or thinness in the work. So it kind of like brightens up the parts of the painting. And this one is also the only one in the show that has charcoal in it. So I first used charcoal to map out the overall composition and then use oil paint. And while doing that, kind of like use the brush to like stretch out the charcoals and make them the dark area of the show. And it's kind of like a skeleton of the whole work. The luminous part, like the center of the painting is very like bright. And I was kind of thinking about like Mada, like which is also one of my inspirations of my practice when I was making that central part of the work. This work, River Cut in Half, I was trying to depict like a landscapey vibe in this work, which doesn't really happen a lot in my works. And I was thinking a lot about Zhao Wuji, the French-Chinese painter, while making this work. Because usually I don't really resonate with his work, but I resonate a lot about his like personal experience. Because both he and I grew up in China, but we received our education in the West. So I was thinking a lot about him while making this work. And the reason why I named it River Cut in Half is also because while making this work, I was also trying to deal with the news. So I kind of want to create like a sense of like an ending or like cuttings. So that's why I named it like River Cut in Half. This work, Fire in the Chest, is one of the last paintings I finished for the show. And particularly for this work, I use a lot of soft blending technique. That's why the background and identity and kind of like blending into each other. And as you can see, the center of the work, there's area of redness, kind of like trying to spreading onto the blue area around it. That because this work is kind of like a self-portrait to me. So I was trying to depict like the tumor in my body, which is the redness part that it's kind of on the edge of like spreading to the rest of my body. Fire, I believe, for human society has like a double meaning because the reason why a lot of civilization happened is because we discover fire. We use it to cook food and stuff like that. But meanwhile, fire can also be devastating. It has like a double meaning of both life and death. And that is why a lot of the works in the show has like redness into them because I want them to represent both fire and blood.